Okay, and now we're live. Let me add Ryan. Okay, now it looks like it's gonna work. Okay. Hi guys. So I will start this live broadcast on Instagram. I am Tatiana Indina. For those of you who know me and who don't know me, I will introduce myself. I'm an entrepreneur and educator on topics of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I've spent a number of years working in Silicon Valley, and a couple of years ago, I moved to Miami. And my companies, Indina-Consulting and Mission to Mars Academy, help leaders from around the world, entrepreneurs, discover innovation, connect them with investors and corporate leaders. We help entrepreneurs participate in startup discovery programs with investors and with corporate clients. We also organize corporate innovation programs in Silicon Valley and online. Okay. I see Ryan is joining us today. So that was my short introduction, and today we will have a very interesting conversation about networking and building community in Miami. As you know, Miami is an actively growing technology hub and a new business center, and there are so many entrepreneurs coming to Miami these days to bring their businesses, to start their startups, and to explore their opportunities. Ryan, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, thank you for joining us today. Finally, we were able to connect with Ryan. And today, guys, we have a very exciting guest, Ryan Ree, who is a head of community here in Miami at the Hub, which is a growing technology innovation center and hub for entrepreneurs, a co-working center for startups and entrepreneurs. And I've seen amazing networking and community building skills of Ryan when he literally built this co-working center from scratch. A few months ago, it was just an empty building. And a couple of months after, it became one of the most active epicenters of Miami Tech life. So I believe Ryan is the right person to share his skills and some of his insights about how to be a great networker in Miami and how to build your community in Miami.
I'm happy to share what I've learned.
Yes, exactly, Ryan. So today I want to ask you a few questions that I collected from my Telegram channels from global entrepreneurs, people who live all around the world, and they're looking to come to Miami and they want to bring their startups and their businesses to Miami. So we want to learn from you how to build community, how to network right, and hopefully you will give us some great insights today.
I'm happy to try.
Amazing. So let's start from your personal story, from your personal journey. What brought you to Miami and how your story in Miami started?
Sure. Well, hello everyone. My name is Ryan Ray. Thank you, Tatiana, for having me today. I love talking about Miami a lot. I probably bore people sometimes because I just talk about Miami all the time. So whenever someone gives me an opportunity to chat about Miami, I am more than happy to do that. To understand sort of my Miami story, you have to go kind of way back. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, very rural Pennsylvania. I lived in a town of 400 people. All my neighbors were Amish, horse and buggy, that whole thing. Lived in the middle of nowhere. And I was there until I was 18. And then I had an opportunity to go work for Microsoft on the West Coast. So I went from a town of 400 people to Orange County, California overnight. It was kind of wild. So yes, I kind of had to go from country to city overnight. So over the next 7 years or 8 years, I moved up and down the West Coast. I did the entire West Coast from San Diego to Seattle. I did the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a lot. And then I did 5 years in Seattle, and I just really didn't like the weather. I like sun.
Blame you.
Yeah, I didn't like this. I didn't like the weather, and I love sun. As you can see, I like being tan and sun kissed. And so I was, after 5 years there, I was kind of done at Microsoft. I had sort of peaked out in my career there. And so I left, and I just was like to myself, I was like, Ryan, where have you been the most happy in your life? You know, on vacation or whatever. And I just thought of Miami. I was like, I've always been happy here. And back in this time, 2017, Miami was not a tech hub. There was no, you know, nothing really tech was happening that was like on a bigger stage. There's always been tech in Miami, but not visible. So I moved here 7 years ago with a suitcase and a laptop, and no job, no friends, barely any money.
Very, very brave. And this is very interesting because most of the people that we are recording this video, by the way, this is a recording. I didn't do any announcements, so we want to save it and to translate it to different languages for people who are not Americans. And most often they are immigrants who are just starting the American journey, the American dream. And exactly like you, many of them come to America without having any like backup plan or without having many resources. So this is extremely interesting how it worked for you.
Yeah. So I did that. I moved here, you know, I borrowed like $1,000 some from my grandparents for a down payment on an apartment, on a rental. And I moved here, and I took a really terrible job. I took a terrible job doing marketing for a law firm, that paid no money, basically. It didn't pay any money. But I enjoyed living here. I enjoyed the weather and the energy of the city. And so I just worked really hard to make it here. And let me tell you, those first 2 to 3 years were really rough. It was not fun times. I mean, I lived in Miami, so it was fun. But as far as like professionally, personally, and financially, it wasn't a fun time. But yeah, it's, you know, we'll get to this, but you know, things really turned around.
Which year was that? Which year?
I moved in 2017.
Okay, 2017.
Yeah. And it's funny, I moved in 2017, just 2 months before Irma, the hurricane. When I moved here in June, and then in September we had Hurricane Irma, which came through and wrecked a bunch of stuff. It was kind of wild, fun experience. It was like a welcome to Miami experience.
Yeah, famous Miami weather.
Yeah, it was wild.
Hurricanes, tornadoes, storms, floodings. I've experienced it all.
Yep. So anyway, so I got here in 2017, and then from 2017 to about 2020, I just sort of, you know, I sort of existed. I didn't do a whole lot. I wasn't that involved in the tech community. And then COVID happened. And
nice
everyone
timing
there
again.
moved here.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, yeah. It was like, I would say my life in Miami definitely had like a pre-COVID and like an after-COVID sort of experience. And they're both very different.
Okay. So now, what were your actions? So you come to Miami, you descend here, you don't have many friends, and that's what is happening with most people. You don't have many friends. You have to start everything from scratch to build your network, build your circle. And how do you approach this? I know that in Miami, like in Silicon Valley, today I will be going back and forth in our discussion comparing Miami with Silicon Valley, because for me, Silicon Valley is a benchmark of entrepreneurship ecosystems. And I know that in Miami and in Silicon Valley, things work differently. So in Silicon Valley, what I would say, and advice that I would give to an entrepreneur, I would say, go to all the meetup events and then talk to everybody and like talk about your startup or your business, or that you're looking for a job. And things are not exactly looking the same in Miami as from my personal experience, because I remember first year I was going to literally all events, all conferences, and what I noticed that all the people I met over there were people who just came yesterday, just like me. They didn't have any specific agenda. Most times they were not locals. So those networking activities did not help me to implant in Miami soil. And then I realized that probably there are maybe like the right and not right events to go to for entrepreneurs if you want to build connections. So what was your strategy in Miami, and what would you advise to other new people who come to Miami today to do to grow their network?
Yeah, so there's two things. You are right about there being a lot of events in Miami. There's a ton of events every day, every week, all the time.
All the conferences from all over the world, they're happening in Miami.
Yeah, there's always events to go to. What I did during COVID, well, starting during COVID, at the end of it, really. I did go to all the events. I went to every single event I could go to. And I met a ton of people who were from other places, like you said. But a lot of people had just moved to Miami, because you have to remember that previous to COVID, Miami didn't have a big tech scene. It was here, but it wasn't big. And there wasn't a lot of people didn't have Miami on the mind, like, oh, I'm going to choose between San Francisco and Miami, or New York and Miami. Like, they didn't have that decision in their head. They're like, oh, I'm going to New York or San Francisco or whatever. But in COVID, when those cities were shut down and nothing was happening, they came to Miami because when we were open, and of course we're paradise. So, so they started coming here. And the thing you have to realize about Miami, it's very different from other American cities. Miami basically it basically isn't an American city, which is weird to say, but it's basically a Latin American city in the United States. That's how you have to think about it. Because we do have a very large Hispanic Latin population here. Miami-Dade is 75% Latin Hispanic as of the last census. So it's a large amount. And what happens is you get the culture and the feeling of being in South America, in the Caribbean, but you're in the United States. So that makes Miami run and feel a little different. You have to, let's put this, you have to think about it that way. It's not, you can't think of Miami as an American city. You have to think of it like it's a Latin American city. And once you do that, you understand how the city works.
Okay.
That is,
people who never been to Latin American cities, and what would be their key the key strategies, key guidances to keep in mind about networking in Latin America?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that Miami takes itself a little bit less seriously than other cities. Everything here is fun, it's energetic, it's dynamic, but it's not I'm losing my words here. It's not like stuffy. It's very like energetic all the time. Like, and it's fun. It's you have to realize that just because something looks like a party doesn't mean things aren't getting done. Does that make sense? Like,
kind of, yes. And it seems like a party, that's true. And where, I would not say ask when, I will ask where things are getting done. So what are those secret places where serious people are actually hanging out? Because from my experience, first several months I was going to startup investor events where I would expect in Silicon Valley, you go to any kind of event that is a startup pitch or demo day, and you will see both investors and founders. In Miami, I remember I was going to all kinds of startup events, and I never met any investor. And I thought there are probably some other secret parties that people go to.
The secret isn't about what to go to, it's who to look for. Because like I told you, these things look like parties, and there are investors there. There are people with money and who can invest. They just may not look like your normal Silicon Valley investors. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be in like suits and like, I don't know, vests or something.
Well, investors in Silicon Valley are very much t-shirt culture, t-shirts and jeans people, and not shorts maybe, but
I just think you have to. The thing that I'll give you my strategy. I talk to everyone, literally everyone.
Talk to everyone. Okay, great, because you never know.
And that's exactly. You never know who you're talking to. And in Miami, you might not know the person you're talking to runs an investment fund or a sovereign wealth fund or whatever. Like, you just don't know. And then they'll drop it on you, and you'll be like, oh wow, cool.
So go to all parties. I'm summarizing the insights. Go to all parties and talk to everyone. Yeah,
but what I mean is talk to everyone, but like have like a very focused way to do it. So you talk to everyone, you get the information you need from them, and if they're going to provide you value, you continue. If not, you move on to the next person. I know that may sound a little cold, but that's how you have to do it, because there are so many parties and so many events here that you'll go crazy if you try and do them all and talk to everyone. So I'm saying talk to as many people as you can, but be focused about it and know what you want. For me, I did that for 3 years. I talked to people at events for 3 years. Like, there were some weeks I didn't have a voice because I had talked so much, but I made so many good connections from those 3 years. From random people I was talking to who then connect me to someone else. And I would say this. In Miami, the thing that's cool about Miami is it's not who you are. I don't care if you're from Silicon Valley or New York City or San Francisco or wherever. I really don't. It's about who you know. That is the biggest thing in Miami. It's not about who you are. It's about who you know.
Okay, Ryan. Now, very specific question. How does this conversation go? So for people, now let's keep in mind that we are doing this video for people who are not usually Americans. They come to America from some other places. They are often immigrants. The English is not their first language. So how exactly should they start and approach the conversation? Like literally, what are the key phrases to use when you are building this first context on this networking event?
Yeah.
What do you say when you go there?
So obviously, with normal, hi, how are you? But here's the thing about Miami, it's important. Most people in an early conversation, they don't care what you do. Okay. So, but this is important. So it's when if you're in Silicon Valley, for instance, and you introduce someone, you're gonna say, "Hi, I'm Ryan. I work at Microsoft, or I work at the startup." Like that's your first line.
I would say for New York and Washington DC, that would be the first line. For California in general, it would be maybe a little more icebreakers, so people would talk a little more small talk before they get there, but eventually they will get there.
Yeah. So, but like I'm saying, most people don't care what you do for money. Yeah. Like they just don't.
Yeah, they don't care about your job or like what is your startup.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is you have to talk to them as a person first. Hi, I'm Ryan. I've been here for 5 years. I love going to do this. I love this, blah, blah, blah. Like it's more about you as a person. Yeah. And then what I always ask is what are you passionate about right now, or what are you working on? Those are two phrases that I use. They're interchangeable.
What they're passionate about and what they're working on.
Yes, but the key phrase there is right now. Right. What are you passionate about right now? What are you working on right now? Because what they're working on may not be connected to what they're doing for money.
That is an interesting remark. So, and then what they're passionate about also can be something else, right? Yeah.
I mean, for example, what I do for money, my day job, has nothing to do with what I do in Miami at all.
So how do you answer the question when people ask you, what do you do right now?
I say, my day job is I work for a credit bureau. I do marketing. It's not exciting. I'm talking like I'm a person. I work for this credit bureau. I do marketing for them. But it's just my day job. It just pays the bills. What I'm really passionate about is the co-working and community space that I run in Miami.
Okay, great. So now we have a first tip, how to start your networking. And then, so how long does this first interaction last? So now we are taking this case study of when you go to a meetup event or you go to a conference and you start a conversation with a new person. You just come, you say, hi, this is my name, and you ask a couple of questions, you say what you do, and then how does this conversation go? How long should it last? Like, what is the benchmark?
Sure. So remember, most of these events you're going to go to are going to be loud events with music because it's Miami. Everything's a party. So what I do is I try to keep my conversations from 5 to 10 minutes. I tell them who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm passionate about. I usually, give them a few little like icebreakers, like I'm from Pennsylvania. I moved here with a suitcase and a laptop, et cetera, et cetera. And then I get their phone number. I always ask for it if it's okay. And then I text them right away with my name and what I'm working on, or like whatever, the co-working space. So
take a phone number and you text. It's not, you don't do LinkedIn, you don't do business card, you don't do Twitter. I mean, because there are so many different channels.
It also depends. Some people aren't comfortable getting the number right away. So I take whatever thing I can get right away. But what I'm trying to do is I try and get their information and then move on to the next person at the event or the party. Because,
so now we are taking you as a blueprint, because you are an excellent networker, and I specifically picked you for this conversation because I think you are an exemplary. So please give us your strategies.
Yeah. So I'm very targeted at events. Like when I go talk to people, it's quick. I have a good conversation with a lot of substance, but I try and keep within 5-10 minutes. Anything beyond that, you're gonna want to set up a second contact for email, coffee, whatever. Like that is that that is like what I do. It's like, because I can't talk to everyone at the party, but I want to. It's just like sales. The more people you talk to, the more sales you're going to have. The more people you talk to, the more opportunities you're
And you
going to have.
talk to literally anybody. You're not being selective. You're not reading the room. You're not only talking to like VIP people at the event. You talk to everybody.
Absolutely. I make no judgments on books. No, I don't read a book by its cover. Some of the most interesting and helpful people to me have been people that most people probably wouldn't talk to. Like, and I've been before I was in marketing, I was in sales for a long time. So I am pretty good at reading a room, but it's more about just learning, just going out and just talking to as many people as you can. And the important thing is to have your talk track already. Know what works. Like, know what lines work.
Exactly. What are the lines? Because sometimes, and this is a reality of networking in a very crowded cities like New York, also Silicon Valley, also Miami, sometimes, and people are not prepared to do this short pitch about themselves, and they start talking, and people lose interest, and you can see that people are already looking somewhere else, and they're looking in their phone. So what exactly should be the lines to keep attention?
So it's kind of hard. I can't really tell you what the lines are because it varies so dramatically from person to person. But what I can tell you is you need to practice your own lines, whatever they are. And what I do a lot of times is I go to like Starbucks or a coffee shop, and I'll just talk to random people that look like they want to talk to me.
That's a great training.
Yeah,
right?
and those people I may never see again, I may never hear from again, but I get to practice how the lines sound and how they land.
So you rehearse. You're like a good comedian. You rehearse your jokes
Exactly.
on other people, on random people in Starbucks. Okay.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be Starbucks. It can be literally anywhere there's people that you would have a conversation with. It could be at the gym. It could be at Starbucks. And I try different lines and see which one lands, which one makes people's eyes light up. Oh, wow, that's cool. He's from Pennsylvania, from a town of 400 people. He came here with a suitcase and a laptop. You know what I mean? Like those are lines that make people go, this guy's interesting.
So you literally have like a prepared in advance certain word combinations that you know already. They are tested and they work great. So you literally have like the cards. Amazing.
But I'm saying is I can't tell you what those lines are because they're very specific to you. What makes you interesting as a person?
Again, we are now doing this video for people who are not Americans and native speakers often. That is why it's not because I am so illiterate, it's because I want to ask the questions that people who do not understand the cultural in between the lines would ask. This is something they would ask me, right? I'm asking you. So this 10 minutes of conversation that you have with a new person on networking event, what is the content of this 10-minute conversation usually? Or like, is it like 5 minutes talking, you talk about yourself, 5 minutes other person? What are the questions that you exchange?
So you have to remember that it's the golden rule of communication is you should be 20% talking and 80% listening. That's the golden rule. So
especially
I try
for tech people.
Yes.
Good to keep in mind.
Yeah, because like I condense about me into a very short sort of talk track. I know the lines that work for me. I know what gets people excited. So I have that in about 5 minutes. The rest of the 5 minutes or more, I let them talk and I listen. I listen a lot. And if the conversation is getting boring or the person's not someone that I'm going to get some value from, I'll cut it and move on. But if there is value to be had there, I'll listen for 15 minutes just to them talk.
You listen and you ask questions, you ask a specifying question. So basically this 10 minutes, I feel like you talking about you and them talking about them. And
but way more them talking about them than me.
Okay. And how do you wrap up this conversation to make it in a natural or not an abrupt way, but what is a nice way to conclude the conversation, this 10-minute sprint?
I conclude conversations with something like, "It was great talking to you. I'm gonna continue. I can't talk."
You did some networking today too.
It was great talking to you. I'm going to continue to make the rounds. Please send me a text when you get a moment so we can stay connected.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hope you guys will write this down for those of you who will be watching this later.
And then, but the more important thing for is how you start the conversation. I start 99% of my conversations with a compliment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point.
I
Start with a compliment
them on whatever I can see about them or that I can see physically on them that I can compliment. Great shirt, great sports team hat, whatever.
And I can say to for myself that this is something that Ryan really does, and I see him every day in the co-working space, that he is always complimenting everybody on their looks, on their outfit. So yeah, this is very thoughtful, because many people don't do those things. Right?
And it's genuine.
Yes.
Like, it's not like I'm just making it up. I do like the color of that dress or that hat or whatever.
No, it's coming as absolutely a sincere compliment, and that is why it is very pleasant.
Yeah,
and in general, you have this nice personality and energy, and I think this is also important, like positivity that you bring to people, so they want to talk and they want to share.
Like if you give a person a compliment in the first 10 seconds, they're going to want to talk to you for an extended period of time.
Yeah. As an experienced salesman, that is also like a tested tip. I am really impressed by this thing and this is something that not just startups do. This is what I know movie producers do. They literally test their pilots of their movies on their focus groups, and to see, especially comedy movies. This is what I learned in LA. So they literally would set up a screening room, of their target audience of viewers, and show them the part of the movie and test the jokes. If people laugh or don't laugh at those jokes, and then they literally change the jokes in the movie if people not laugh like long enough. So this is definitely universal.
And that's what I do. I just do it at Starbucks or wherever.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you told me too.
Yeah, so it's just like, but some things are gonna fall flat, some are gonna work. Mm-hmm. In 4 years, I figured out what works. It didn't happen overnight. I had to really test it out and learn it.
Okay, guys, this is important. So you have to test and reiterate your lines.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And especially if you have a startup. If you have a startup or you're working on a business, you have to get. It's not even an elevator pitch. It's like a micro elevator pitch. Yeah. I have to know what you're doing in like 15 seconds, or else I'm done. You know what I mean?
And most people are like that, right? Especially when you're at a busy conference, there are a lot of people. So by the way, interesting comparison. So when you network at a meetup, like a small meetup, or you network at a large conference, are those the same tips? Are those the same strategies, or different ones?
It just depends on the length of time. Mm-hmm. Like when I went to Emerge last year, which I love.
There were a lot
Melissa,
of people, yes.
Yeah,
like very good example of crowded event.
Melissa and team put on a great conference every year, and there's thousands of people there. I could never do like the full conversation with those thousands of people. So that's where I have like, my QR business code or whatever. I have my talk track compressed into like 60 seconds, and just go for that, because you have to build different talk tracks for different scenarios and different people.
Mm-hmm. If you're like, so what are those groups? What are those tracks? Like how?
Well, I mean, like if you're just talking to someone at a bar or a happy hour, or like a tech event, you're gonna have about a 60-second talk track that you have nailed down. Mm-hmm. Like that is it. If you are at an event that makes it a little quieter, a little bit more, where you can have a long conversation, you're going to have a talk track of about 3 to 5 minutes. But you have to have those talk tracks like down pat. But here's the thing: you don't want to come off as rehearsed. Like that's the part.
You're like, oh, wait a second, I need to check my notes.
Yeah,
like, what is my next line?
That is. And the beautiful thing is when you make your talk track that you get in the right groove, you won't even need notes because you'll be talking about things that you love, things that make you happy. So like it won't even be a issue. You'll just know it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're struggling with notes and you're trying to like losing your track, you're on the wrong talk track.
Yeah, and especially some people are becoming intimidated. For example, if they go to a very high-profile event, or their goal is to network up with their potential investors, for example, it is easy for many people, especially if they are not familiar with the rules of the game, right? Maybe they're not very experienced. They get intimidated and they lose confidence. So imagine you are a young entrepreneur, you've never been to America, you've never been to Miami, this is your first startup, you come to an event and you want to network up, you want to talk to people who are more important, or very important for your business. So how would you approach this if this were you? Or maybe what can be a good advice for people like that who are shy or who are not confident enough and they don't know how to impress or how to keep attention of somebody who is higher status or somebody they're trying to pitch to?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think a pitch should be in a much more curated environment. I wouldn't do a pitch at like a happy hour with like noise bouncing around. You want to give whoever you're talking to a taste of it, but not the whole pitch. They're not going to remember it. They're not even going to remember you. Like it's so busy and chaotic. Like what you want to do is you want to hook these people with that you're a cool person. You're interesting. You have good information, and they want more. So that's why you get the follow-up information right away, and you move into a text or an email or a coffee or whatever. Like you don't want to compress your whole pitch or whatever into a busy bar event. It's never going to work.
Mm-hmm. What are the hooks, Ryan, that can work in Miami in a very crowded event where people don't have much time and attention span?
Yeah, so you have to think of what is your unique proposition, your USP, your unique selling proposition. What makes you unique, and what do you bring to the table? That is, for me personally, my USP is that I can connect you with basically anyone you need. Whatever you need, I have someone on my Rolodex that probably fits that criteria. Mm-hmm. That's my unique thing. My tagline is that I'm called the ambassador of Miami Tech. Mm-hmm. That's what people
it's easy for you because you already have some kind of prestigious label to put next to.
But I'm telling you, people put that label on me. Mm-hmm. Like people invent that label for me. I didn't request to be called that.
Yeah. No, it's good. And so even guys, if you are not from Miami, you are not an ambassador of a tech community, you still can reference to what other people think that is remarkable about you and like what other people go to you for.
Exactly. And that is the thing. Don't be shy about that.
Exactly.
Have you had 3 startups? Have you raised X, Y, and Z money? Whatever. It's okay to brag. It's not okay to brag continuously.
Yeah.
But it's okay to let people know what your accomplishments are. Here's another tip that you guys should really take note of. One of my secret strategies at events is to meet someone, talk to them for 5 minutes, and then connect them to someone that I just talked to or that I know. Mm-hmm. So hand them off. Mm-hmm. Like that.
Oh, okay.
And so what I'll do is I'm talking to you for 5 minutes. I need to go or talk to someone else. I'll be like, hey, Kevin, come talk to Tatiana. She is X, Y, and Z. She's really cool. Here's why you should talk to her. I stay there for another 15 seconds and then leave.
Yeah, that's the great tip that works and for multiple tasks. First of all, you want to, it's an elegant way to finish your interaction with the person. And second of all, it kind of demonstrates you are well connected and you know people and people know you. And also it's a nice gesture to add value, right, to this interaction.
But I'm saying it's not just me that can do that. Anyone can do that. If you've met more than one person at an event, do that.
Yes, absolutely. It can be your recent friend, somebody who you just talked to.
yeah, if you talked to someone 5 minutes ago, pass them off to the person that you just
Yeah.
talked to. Keep it going.
Connect people around you. So Ryan, I actually I think I want to dig a little deeper about this bragging and not bragging about yourself, because I think it's a very first of all, I think that all the things that all advice that we give are useful ones, but I always want to be more specific, because like when people give advice that are very generic, it's really hard to follow them. For example, be confident, don't be shy. This is like a very general advice that everybody gives, and like how exactly do I do this? What is exactly the algorithm?
Yeah.
So what I want to ask here, like the question is bragging and not bragging. We hear that, for example, people from Eastern European or like post-Soviet bloc of countries, they are, because of the school system there, the people are genuinely very shy in their kind of holding back their achievements, or like what are some of the things they should be bringing up in a conversation about their achievements. And we often hear that culturally American people are more confident because kids from school are taught how to present themselves, how to pitch themselves, how to sell to their ideas, to their parents, to their teachers, etc. But at the same time, I noticed that in tech community, the value is actually being humble, because people who are openly bragging about themselves are considered to be a little bit kind of not very serious people. So most people, the top people and really accomplished people are really knowledgeable people. They're usually humble ones, but somehow you know that they are somebody serious. So somehow they still let you know that they are somebody important without kind of assertively bragging. So what would be the fine line in between? How should a newcomer who is an immigrant, present themselves without kind of over bragging, but at the same time, what would be a nice way to put those lines? What could be the right lines?
Yeah, I think the thing is, when I'm talking to someone and I'm talking about me and trying not to brag, what I tell people, I only tell people what I've done for other people, not what I've done for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
for
like,
other people.
yeah, so I don't talk about my own accomplishments very much, very much. I only talk about what I've done for a community, for whatever. Like, if people want to know what I've done, they will specifically ask. I talk about what I've done for other people or communities. That's what keeps it from being bragging. I feel like.
So basically, you're and anybody who will be using this tip. So you just list the facts. Like what were exactly the things that you did in the past that were impactful, and maybe if you can bring some names or numbers, so that can kind of frame you in a right way, right? So.
And I'm saying you can weave in a personal accomplishment there. But what I'm saying is, if you talk about what you've done for other people, people are like, oh wow, Ryan is a good person. He helps people. I want him to help me too.
Very obvious conclusion, right?
So I'm going to open up to him so that he helps me.
At the same time, I think that the strategy of immediately asking or opening up and talking about what you need or what you're looking for example, a person is looking for a job. Should that person be in this very short conversation? And this is a very good example. Imagine somebody is coming to networking event and they are looking for a job. Should they be bringing this up in this 10-minute conversation with a new person that they are looking for a job and asking for help?
Yes, they definitely should. However, for me, I always ask people, what do they need? What are they looking for?
How can I help you?
How can I know it's kind of cliche, but how can I help you? Because that is, people will tell you, I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for investors. Whatever it is. They'll tell you. And I'm like, oh, wait, I know that person over there is an investor in health tech. And this person over here is hiring engineers.
And that is you, because you're a really nice person, and I think you're almost like a mission is to connect people and build the community. That is why you are genuinely doing it well, from your good heart. But
Well,
there are maybe some people who will be turned off by this kind of vulnerability that somebody will gonna expose immediately to them, that they need something, they are looking for money, investment, for a job.
well,
Should this be?
I mean, I think you should like allude to it. I think if you need something, hey, I'm looking for whatever, people that can talk to about investments. You shouldn't be asking that person directly for whatever it is. You should be asking, do you know of, or is someone here I should talk to looking for or looking to invest in whatever? Like you put out there sort of like softly.
Yeah, doing it
Not like,
indirectly, exactly. So you're saying, oh, my company is looking for investment, where this is the product that we were building, and this is the interest that we got from some of the companies. So you're kind of showing them this teaser, right, of your movie, so they get, but indirectly, not aggressively pitching them or selling to them.
I mean, if someone's handing me like a one sheet on their company, like when we first meet, I'm kind of like, okay.
Because that's what startups usually do. They once they hear that somebody is an investor, they're jumping in on that person and start aggressively pitching them. And this is maybe not the best.
So that's important to realize versus Miami. At least personally, in my 4 years here, I found Miami is much more open to help people with whatever they need. This is my personal experience. I can't say it's for everyone, but it's my personal experience.
I agree.
If you have an idea, if you need investment, if you're looking for something, just ask for it. There's very little gatekeeping in mine, which is what I love, and which why I make sure to try and keep it so there's no gatekeeping. Like, listen, if you know me, it may help, but you don't have to know me. Like, I'm not gonna say you have to know Ryan in order to get to the investor or the people. Like, you don't have to. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. It's fine. Somebody else will help you. But like, there's no gatekeeping here. Like, if you have an idea, you want to go talk to that investor, go talk to them. They're over there in the corner of the bar. Go talk to them.
People generally are very helpful in Miami. I noticed it, and because it's the very early stage of this tech ecosystem, so everybody wants to be helpful. Everybody understands this is a momentum that it will come back. So everything goes around and comes around. So yeah, people are willing to help a lot.
Yep.
Okay, great. Next stage of networking. So after you successfully conducted your first conversation, you made your first impression, you did your asks, whatever, you connected people, you exchanged contacts. What is your follow-up strategy? How do you turn your new connections into meaningful relationships, into friendships or business connections? What are the next steps?
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing is to, after you've gone to an event, you've gone home and you're looking at your pictures. Oh, one tip, I try and take selfies with people that I meet. That helps a lot.
You try to excel?
No, take selfies.
Oh, selfies. I was good. Excel
spreadsheet. Because I can remember faces. Okay. I'm not very good with names, but like if I have a picture and then I have a text, I can put them together.
Yeah, many startups do that. I've seen that. Many people do it too. Yeah. I would say younger generation probably, because like I didn't notice like older people doing this, but younger people definitely do this.
So I do that, but then the next day or the next 2 days or so, I take my list of texts that I have with their names, and I look up on LinkedIn, I look up on Instagram, on Twitter. I sort of get a feel for who they are, like what they're working on, whatever. I get like a social media graph of them, and then I decide about who I want to contact or who I want to pursue whatever with. So, but I always, the next day or the next day, I always send a follow-up text that says, "Nice to meet you. Let's chat later." I always plant the seed of coffee or a meeting or whatever, always with everyone.
So what is the exact phrase that you would use to follow up?
The phrase that I use is like, "It was so nice meeting you last night. It was great learning about X, whatever the blank is. Let's do coffee or dinner or a beach day, whatever, depending on who the person is, soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I send it off. And
Mm-hmm.
most times, 9 out of 10, they'll respond, say, hey, sure, let's connect next week, next Tuesday. Send me a calendar invite, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Do you set an agenda for the meeting? Are you telling them that let's meet to discuss this, or it's just
Never. I
It's
never
not
said.
a transactional kind of meeting.
I really dislike transactional things. Really.
Not transactional, probably more like explicit, setting the subject of a conversation on the table, saying, oh, let's meet and discuss potential partnership or something.
Yeah, I just set informal meetings just to talk. And if they want to talk about their dog the whole time, fabulous.
So you meet people and you actually talk about their dogs.
Yeah, dogs, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, talk about Miami dogs, the event
Everybody
we just had. Like, and if we don't talk about business the whole time, it's great. I made a new friend. And the next time we'll talk about business. Like, people, what I found, not everyone, but most people tend to jump into transactional way too quick.
Yeah.
Like,
that's unfortunately what's happening often.
Yeah, and they're like biting it. They're like biting at the chomping at the bit to like get transactional. And I'm like, hang on, there's a person here.
Yeah. And I would say that even today, what's happening with AI, like LinkedIn became previously being a useful tool for professional networking, became absolutely like a desperate platform because of AI automation, because so much transactional cold calling happening with using AI automation tools that people literally become numb to responding to any kind of cold calling or like messaging on LinkedIn, because again, it is all coming across as very, very transactional and very goal oriented, and there's no genuine human connection.
Yeah, like for instance, if you want to reach me and talk and build a relationship with me, don't send me, as soon as we meet up, don't send me like your pitch deck or on an email that's 5 pages long saying what you do, your proprietary algorithms. I don't really care. I care about you as a person, and I want to build a relationship with you and figure out how I can help you in Miami. Your company or whatever you do is important, but I'd rather figure out you as a person first.
Mm-hmm. And when you come to this meeting, it is really a very informal conversation. Just
very informal. And it's my belief. This is my belief: is that I can get value from almost anyone. And the value may not be directly monetarial. It may not be directly professionally, but I can get value some way. They may introduce me to, I don't know, they may invite me on a boat day or invite me to dinner or whatever. I don't know. Like there's a value that everyone can provide, and it's not strictly transactional or professional.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly, this is right, Ryan. I think for people, especially we are doing this, keeping in mind our audience who are newcomers to Miami, and often they are not from here. So when you are in a situation like that, you obviously will benefit from making connections with as many people as possible and being very open-minded. Without setting specific expectations, but just genuinely building human connection, because you're going to need new friends when you are in a new environment.
Yeah,
right?
I think, it's, that person may not be useful or valued to you as a business partner professionally, but you may make a new awesome friend who just go out, to the beach days or dinner or drinks with. Like that's how I made most of my friends here in Miami, is that way.
You, Ryan, first of all, you are a very great communicator. Second of all, you are an American. Still, you were born in America. And speaking of people who are not Americans, and with the recent immigration movements due to like a lot of wars and political crisis, there are more and more immigrants coming, trying to build their networks. And what I noticed, and this is becoming a limitation later for these guys and girls, people come and they get stuck in their cultural cluster, in a cultural community. Russians hang out with Russians, Ukrainians with Ukrainians. There are like other groups they hang out within themselves, Indian people with Indian people, so whatever. But then what would be an advice, and how can we help people who are not Americans to make more, how can they make more American friends? Do you
Yeah.
see this as a problem that people who are Americans, they want to hang out with like also locals, and they don't really, they are not very much open to make friends who are international people? What is your view of this?
So there's two things there. The first is Miami as a city is so wildly diverse. It's like a melting pot of literally everyone.
Yeah.
So if you're only hanging out with your group of people, then you're missing out on 80% of what city has to offer. Simple as that.
Exactly.
Because there's people from everywhere around the world here, and it's, you know, like I said, I grew up in a town of 400 people with no diversity at all, zero. So here is like, I feel sometimes like I live in, like, in almost like an international airport, because it's like everyone's here or passing through or coming here. That's the first thing. The second thing is, for me personally, I seek out people who are different than me on purpose. I seek them out. Whether that be culturally, ethnically, professionally, whatever. I'm looking for people who are different than me, because I'm going to get something unique and valuable from them, because they are not like me.
Yeah, and also they carry like some unique experience, like from other country or other culture, or like some other network, even professionally diverse environments. And I would say my piece of advice in this situation, because I've kind of been personally in this journey, right? Like hanging out within local and international communities, and I would say it's all about. It's not so much about your culture or your background or even your language abilities. So more it is about whether are you a cool person, are you a fun person to hang out with.
Exactly.
If you're a positive person. Yeah.
Like, listen, not to be blunt, but like, I can tell in the first 30 seconds whether I'm going to enjoy talking to you or not. And if I'm not going to enjoy talking to you, I'm going to end the conversation in a nice way. Like, but I have to enjoy talking to you. If you are stuck up or snobby or whatever, toxic, I don't care, I'm not going to spend my energy on you.
The tone, because sometimes like those nonverbal clues, you are saying things without saying things, right? So you can be using all the right lines, but your tone or your position or like your attitude sometimes, and this is very hard to catch for not native speakers.
So I'll tell you this: there are people who come to Miami from many places, a few specific places, and they think they are better than me or the community for whatever reason. Like, they think they're better. And I don't have time or energy for those people. I don't think I'm better than you for any reason. Why should you think you're better than me? Like, it's like,
I definitely experienced this. Some people, they are non-verbally letting you know that they think that they're not worth your time. And at the beginning, at my beginning of my journey at networking events, I sometimes could get in a situation like that, when people just very quick, they dismiss you. So they kind of like that you especially that happened in tech community, by the way, in Silicon Valley. If you are not a tech person, you are a woman, and you're trying to talk to somebody who's like a tech IT engineer or software engineer, AI guy, or whatever, blockchain people, or also in the same category. So, and they would understand you're not a tech person. Okay, you're a woman. They cannot have like this very, very specific nerdy subject level conversation with you. So they are immediately dismissing you, and they're not interested. So they kind of like switching their attention to something else, and it happens. So, and you understand, for that person, probably they think that they're better than you. You're not worth their attention.
What I'm saying is, I just, for me personally, I am not rude to those people. I just don't give them any energy. It's over. Like, you know, if you think you're better than me or the community, then peace out. Thank you it was nice meeting you. Goodbye. But you'll get good at that. And I'm not saying to be cold. What I'm saying is you have to learn, because we all have limited energy that we can use every day. And you have to learn how to use that energy correctly in social settings and networking settings. We all have a battery of networking energy. Some of us more than others. I have a lot because I've been doing it for a long time. But I've learned to channel that networking energy to the people and network events that matter versus ones that are just fluff.
Yeah, and that is important self-preservation strategy, right? So how do you wisely invest your in energy in conversations that matter, and you do not waste your energy on conversations or people who are maybe rude or people who are not giving you like pleasant experience. Being not everybody is great in conversation, so or there will be some awkward interactions. So you just wrap it up and just move on.
Yep. Move on.
Okay, so Ryan, so we have a few more questions that I would really appreciate if you share your wisdom with us on those subjects. So my next question would be about for job seekers, like somebody who is looking for a job. What is the best way to find a job through networking? Because all the things that we hear about tech sector, about massive layoffs that happened, so many people were on the job market looking for opportunities, and it became, again, because of the AI algorithms, increasingly hard to get employed through a traditional track that is solicited application through the website. So it definitely comes down to who do you have like a warm introduction? Do you know somebody within the company who can recommend you? So how do you use networking skills in order to land a job at your dream company in tech?
Sure. And, you're right with, LinkedIn and job thing, it's so blah. Like it's just this day, your odds of getting through the algorithms or through the screening process are little to none.
Impossible. That's what I hear from many people, that even very talented people who are struggling.
So I think in this day, it's more important than ever to have a strong in-person relationship with whatever people you meet. And what you'll learn is it goes back to what I said before. You have to build your talk track, your narrative. You have to build your narrative for yourself, and you have to get really good at saying it quickly. Because no one has any attention span anymore. TikTok, Instagram. No one has any attention span. So you have to get really good at saying, I am Ryan. I am really good at growth marketing. Here are some quick tidbits about what I've done in growth marketing. And here's who I am as a person. You have to do that in 30 to 60 seconds when you meet someone. And you have to do it without sounding annoying.
And this is a great algorithm that Ryan just gave us. So not that I'm looking for a job, hire me, but this is what I did for companies X, Y, and Z. And those are the impressive results that they were able to achieve with my help.
And like I said, make it, you are selling yourself, but you want to sell what you affected, not what you did. Here's an interesting one. So, I worked for Microsoft a long time ago. I tell people when I joined Microsoft, we had 0 stores. When I left, we had 101 5 years later. Did I personally build all 101 of those stores? No. But I helped affect them get there. People don't need to know all the details, all the nerdy stuff in between. They want the taglines and the bullet points. And that's you as a job seeker or someone who's looking for employment have to get good at. You have to figure out what your 60-second talk track is.
And then how would that conversation go? How would that conversation continue? So you're giving this 60-second talk, and then you're supposed to somehow give them your CV or send them your CV, right? So in order to move to the next step.
That's where you have to do it lightly. You have to get their contact info, however they want to give it to you, LinkedIn, text, whatever, and you take it from there. But it has to be soft. You can't be like, oh, let me get your text message so I can send you my CV. Like, get a text message and then maybe bring up, hey, would it be okay if I send you my CV, my resume? Like, soft.
But also kind of try to provide some value before you do that. Like try to give something before you take something, right? So
exactly. Like provide value to them. Like, if you ask them, hey, what do you do? And they say, oh, I have this company. The non-job seekers asking this. They're saying, hey, I have this company that does X, Y, and Z. And you ask them, oh, what does your tech stack look like? What do your engineers use? Blah, blah, blah. Like, provide value to them before you ask. That's the golden rule. That really shouldn't be a thing, but give a lot of value before you request value.
Exactly. So And again, being super nice, being extra nice, especially like dealing with all the cultural stereotypes we talked about, and being a nice person and being a very thoughtful person, and kind of feeling those lines that you don't want to cross, like being too assertive, being too direct, being too pushy. And because I know I'm saying this because entrepreneurs are often like that, and they can be sending inappropriate text in inappropriate time and being very direct about what they need. So yes, just knowing the fine line and trying to provide value before you ask people to give something to you. Ryan, okay, we're going to be wrapping this up, but a couple more questions. So building your professional network, how did you build, because you in 4 years you were able to achieve this networking success and build your network. You became a very visible leader of Miami tech community. You have a lot of followers, everybody loves you. So what was your strategy to achieve that? I understand it was probably not like directly your goal, but more of a side effect because you were just a nice person. But still, how does somebody build the network, build a community around them, especially if they're a founder, they want to build a brand, a community around their startup? And how do you build your professional network, your friends network, your following on Twitter, basically your circle? How did you build it, and how would you recommend other people to build it?
So that's a big question.
Yeah, let's try to break it down.
Yeah. So I would say this. I'm going to go back to what we were just talking about, and we were talking about value. The way that I've been able to build my community in Miami and my friend group and all of that is I did and have done a lot of things for the my tech community without expecting anything in return. Like I just did them. And I enjoy that, and it makes me happy to do that. But I did that for like 3 years or so before I asked for anything. I whenever someone asked me to go to an event, I went. When someone asked me to promote their startup, I did what I could. If a friend needed help doing X, Y, and Z thing or something, I did it. And it took a lot of energy and time. And I really enjoyed every moment of it. But there's no shortcut to it. You have to provide a large amount of value to build community. That's what it comes down
to. Helping people, being super giving, super nice, super thoughtful.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to sound cliche, but there just isn't a magic bullet for it. You have to provide so much value and so much time. And people will, if you do well, people will notice it, and they'll be like, wow, Ryan or this person gives away a lot of his time. He gives away a lot of his energy to help people. Mm-hmm. And I personally enjoy every single moment of that. But it's not easy. So you have to be, and that's one part. The other part is, sort of that goes along with it, you have to be out there. You have to, I talk to people all the time, and they come to me like, hey, Ryan, I want to get more connected in the community. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they're like, how do I do that? I'm like, well, you go to events. You go to happy hours. You go to dinners and boat days and whatever. And I'm like, well, I need to work on my startup, so I have to be at home all the time.
Yeah, people like don't. There should be a balance between. You of course want to still get things done, but networking.
And listen, I'm not shaming people for doing that. I'm just saying, if you can't have your cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. You have to, if you want to get more connected and out in the scene and get better connections and stuff, you have to go to them. They aren't going to come to you. That's like me saying, I want to find the love of my life, and I hope they break into my house and find me.
And especially after the pandemic, like so many people were stuck at home, and everybody was complaining that like nowhere to go, nobody to hang out with. And now there are all these opportunities, but people not using them because they want to prioritize themselves or watching Netflix.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I have friends who work really hard on their startups, and that is fantastic, and they should do that. But if they want to get involved in the community and potentially find their investors, their new employees, their whatever, they have to go do it. Like you can't be at home and just expect it to come to you. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. go and talk to all these people you're gonna meet and prepare your lines and be a very genuine, very
Yes.
open, very nice person everybody loves.
And listen, this is going to be really important. It might be hard to hear. You are going to do very badly the first couple times.
Yeah.
The first many
At the beginning,
times.
everybody sucks. That's the reality.
The first couple events that I did, I mean, listen, I can talk to anyone, but I didn't learn how to really do it until like 20 events later. I really didn't. And I was probably bad at doing what I was supposed to be doing. But I eventually just, I had enough awkward conversations. I had enough like talking to people who didn't provide me value to figure out, okay, now here is what I need to do. Here's my talk track. Here's the people that I go for. It's people that I talk to. This is how I do it. Then I figured it out. But it was not until 20 plus events later that I really started figuring out how to do it. You will not do well the first 5, 10, 15 events. You just won't.
Especially people who are with tech background people. I don't want to put any labels here, but it's just a reality that the tech nerdy guys that usually don't have good people skills. That marketing people usually have good people skills. So it's okay to suck a little bit, but as a founder, you have to learn how to network and how to present yourself, because you are the leader of your company, and sooner or later you will have to become public figure to present.
And also, this is going to be, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you are a tech founder or you're in tech and you are attractive or above attractive in general, use it. People like talking to attractive people. Humans do.
Interesting. I never heard this perspective from a man. But good point.
So especially, so listen, this is, maybe it's just a Miami thing, I'm not sure, but Miami is one of the only places where you can have nerds and hot nerds in the like together, like it's the same person.
Yeah, that is the Miami phenomenon, because I
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen literally anywhere else. Like it doesn't happen. I've lived in the Major Cities. You find nerdy or hot.
The new nerd, like new nerd.
Yeah, like in Miami, it's nerd and hot together. So what I'm telling you is, it doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, whatever you identify as, if you're above average attractiveness, use it, please.
Like in what way? In what way should they put on like all the cool?
No, I'm just saying, be yourself. You know, dress nicely and whatever, but know that people are going to come talk to you because you are attractive. Human psychology says that attractive people they do better because people trust them more. They want to talk to them more. It's just human psychology. That's all it is. So if you are an attractive person in tech, use it. Like you can be nerdy and hot at the same time. It's fine.
No, that is a good point.
Yeah.
And also remember that your face, also your facial expression, important, right? Because sometimes people go to this event and they can look like they are scared or they're tensed or they are just not in a good mood, and then they're surprised that nobody wants to come to them first.
So on this note, and this might be a different thing, but on this, like for me, it's important to know what your brand and your narrative is. Beside me being my tech ambassador, my brand and narrative is, when I go to events, I always wear wild clothing, like very loud prints, very loud colors,
very
and I do that
cheerful and very
positive. I do that for a couple reasons. One, I enjoy it. For me, it's that's number one. I love doing it. Second, it's an amazing icebreaker. If you're wearing some ridiculous clothing, print, whatever, there's a very high chance people are going to come talk to you and say, I love your shirt, I love your pants, I love your dress, whatever.
Yeah, good point. It's a good conversation starter, especially some tech people, they like to put a QR code or their logo on their t-shirt or some kind of funny phrase.
Yeah.
Great.
Like if you are not social or you might be a little bit more nerdy, use it. Like use like that to break the ice and have people come talk to you.
Absolutely. No, that is an amazing point. A few words about Twitter. I'm sorry, about X, about the X platform. But when I got there, it was Twitter. So it's hard for me. I really miss the Bluebird. I miss it. So Ryan, what would be your advice to people growing their Twitter following? As for tech community is all about Twitter now, X, it's all about X. How do you get more followers, and what should be the content of your tweet in order to for people to want to follow you? Some of the smartest people don't have big following because they just not entertaining enough and not engaging enough. And some people are tweeting dumb things. Sometimes Elon Musk does that, and he is has the biggest following ever. So what is your strategy on X platform?
I think that could probably be a 3-hour podcast, but
let's do like three top tips.
So the thing about Twitter and social media in general is you have to provide, once again, a lot of value, and you have to provide value. You have to be entertaining. You have to be controversial. Whatever the things are. And it's a lot of work. But I would say, for me, personally, I speak from experience, I have my own niche. My niche is that I'm a Miami Tech ambassador. I love real estate. I love taking photos of construction sites and things around Miami. That's like doing. And I do it consistently, and I do it well. That's my niche. You have to find your niche, and you have to do it very well. You have to provide a lot of value. You got to do it well.
Your tweets were, for me, like almost like a guide to Miami. When I first discovered you on Twitter, I remember that first of all, you tweet regularly. Second of all, you tweet pictures. And third of all, you tweet like really positive things, unlike many people today that are tweeting a lot of toxic negativity.
But that is my niche. That's my niche. You have to find yours. And Twitter is not easy, or any social media is not easy, but I like it because I get to talk to people that are the same as me, people that are very different than me, but I just like to tweet out what I like, what I like. And the fact there's other people out there that like the same thing that I do makes it worth it. And you said you used it as a guide to Miami. That's my value to you.
Yeah,
so
that's how
you
I
follow me for that. Yeah. So I think it's not easy. It could be a 3-hour podcast explaining it. But really, the way to be successful on Twitter these days or any social media is to find your niche and do it very well.
Mm-hmm. And to conclude all this, speaking about community, you are the ambassador of Miami Tech community, and you also started this conversation from your first entrance to Miami when you came with just your laptop and you just started. But then what happened between that moment 4 years ago when you just came with like literally knowing nobody to a point when you became a Miami Tech ambassador, right? The epiphany story. So what happened between then and now, and what helped you? What were the things that you did in order to build your community, a community around yourself?
Oh, wow. I would say I just got sort of lucky. Well, I mean, not lucky. There was some luck involved, but I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time, and to be once you have the luck to be in the right place at the right time, is to take advantage of that moment, and that's what I've done, is take advantage of being very lucky and being in a city that might be the most important city going forward in the 21st century. Personal opinion.
Miami is one of the top cities in the world. I absolutely agree with this. Yes.
So that's my personal opinion, but I was just lucky to be in it. Like, it comes down to this. When I got here in 2017, people made fun of me. My family made fun of me. Ex-coworkers thought I was insane. They were like, why are you moving to Miami? Like, there's no jobs there. There's no tech there. Whatever. I got made fun of mercilessly. And I was like, well, I don't really care because it's great weather and I like the beaches. So you guys can all go die. But it's like, I knew Miami wanted to be something. I didn't know what it wanted to be. I didn't know what the catalyst would be. I didn't know it would be COVID. That would be the catalyst of it. But I just happened to be well positioned for it. And that's the thing, is you have to recognize when you're any city, any situation, You have to recognize when the universe has set you up for success. That's important. It took me a couple of years, even after COVID, a couple of years to really figure out, oh, wow, I'm supposed to be here in Miami. I'm supposed to be doing this. I found my sort of my mission and my purpose in life. But it took me a couple of years to do that.
Soul
Like
searching.
the universe,
Okay.
what?
Soul searching. Soul searching.
Yeah, soul searching. But you have to be aware enough to realize that the universe is saying, look, you should do this. Do this. People, like, this is what you're supposed to do. And most people don't listen for that, because they're trying so hard to do whatever they're trying to do, they don't realize that. It took me a couple of years. The universe said, Ryan, you're supposed to do this in Miami. So yeah.
And I think that this is also answers the question of the community, because if you are as a leader, you know your purpose, you know why you're doing this, you know what is your mission and what you want to give to this world. So then it is easier for people start gravitating towards you because you are being authentic, right? And you have a clear messaging because you know what you are doing and like why you're doing it. And I think this is basically a secret of success.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing your insider tips and tricks. And I think this is something that is better always to hear from the insider other than read some kind of a book. So today you shared like some really good insights for me as well. I will start rehearsing my lines on here and like practicing them on people in Starbucks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
I'd like to say two more things. I have my own podcast. I have two podcasts. Mm-hmm. One is called Ryan and Anna on MIA. That is my real estate podcast. And we talk about real estate development and news and drama. It's really fun. We're on Spotify, Apple, all the places. It's a fun podcast. Ryan and Anna on MIA. The second one is called Next Act. And Next Act is where I talk to accomplished professionals who are looking for the next act. I just sit them down with the conversation sort of like this for about 30 to 40 minutes, and we talk about what they've done, where they're going, and where they want to go. So and that's on my YouTube and also here on my Instagram. But those are my two contents that I'm passionate about right now, and please check them out if you get a chance.
Absolutely. Do follow Ryan, and I will start listening to all of your podcasts now on. And I think that this was definitely very useful, especially the original idea was to share this networking tips with people who are first coming to Miami and they're not from Miami, not from America, and kind of give them some kind of algorithm, some blueprints to follow. And I think we did that to the best of our efforts. So thank you again for meeting me this weekend, having this conversation. It was fun, insightful, and great to have you here. Thank you for your energy, for your positivity, and for your networking advice today, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Tatiana.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.